Mm, 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 Sexy. I don't even know. Hey, yo, what is going on, everybody? My name is Ja, and that's exactly where we're going to leave it at. Welcome to my channel. I've had this channel for a while, and it's been a long time coming. There are probably still some videos that are up to this day that I'm still going to keep up. Just because, you don't know what'll ever happen. I had one video go a little bit viral, I guess. So I want to see if I can do it again with this new segment, with this new series that I have on this channel that focuses all in on the NBA. I really wanted to make an impact when it comes to dealing with NBA, when it comes to dealing with NBA content, and I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck I'm supposed to sit anyway. Bear with me. This is going to be the first of many videos, and as I go along, you know how the grind is. The more you do it, the more you get better, and the more that I do it, the longer my hair is going to get as I keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying. On this channel, we'll be focusing on NBA teams that may not be on your radar, whether it's because their record is just ass, or because they're not one of the marquee games that are viewed on the major networks like ESPN, TNT, ABC. And for those that don't have, NBA TV, or is that what it's called? Is that what their channel called? It's called NBA TV, right? Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. There's no fucking way that it's not. Look, let's face it. There are 82 games in a season, and there are 30 teams in the NBA. I've not gotten to every single NBA game this week, and especially nothing this weekend, and that's because I have personal things that I do on the weekends. I want to do my own little videos when it comes to that and really figure that one out, as time goes along, but we'll talk about that later. My goal is to get you up to speed with these teams during the week, so that you will know what to look out for when those opposing teams comes to your arena as the fan. We'll discuss players who are having hot streaks. We'll discuss rookies and role players who are having phenomenal weeks, phenomenal games. Again, it ties into all that you want to look out for when your team happens to go up against this player. And since there are so many games during the weekend, and to be honest, I have things that I do. I have a girlfriend. I know. How do I? I'm hot. I can't tell you anything. I'm hot. During those weekend games, I do want to make separate videos in order to talk about them, because those games matter too. No, not one NBA game doesn't matter as much as the other, really. At least right now. As the season goes on, of course, certain games are going to matter, certain games aren't going to really matter. For those videos, I do want to break down those games and the people that had like really good games, as I do with the rest when it comes to the week. I don't want to really change that up. That just has to be in basically a smaller sample size because of how hectic the weekend can be, really. I even want to discuss predictions for how other teams are going to play during the next week. Something else that I do want to do is talk about individual players, and I'll be making separate videos on those. Those discussions will be really, really good for you to know if you want to really if you really want to deep dive into the NBA. Those discussions will be really, really great for you. And if you're just somebody that just wants to know stuff, fuck it, Let's get into it now. Reminder, this is all from last week. I'm hoping to upload this video on Monday the 20th. It was supposed to be uploaded Friday, but like I said, my weekends are usually hectic, and I want to really try to get a schedule going. I want to upload these videos. But for right now, a lot of my videos will be uploaded on Mondays. Okay, so let's dive into last week, starting on November 13th, which was last Monday. The really important game there was the Cavs versus Kings. So the Cavaliers are having a rocky start to the season, and that's unfortunate, seeing how far they were able to make it last year versus what they're doing this year. But that's mostly because they've been missing Darius Garland. In this game, he is coming back from injury, and that's tough regardless of the player. You have to get back in the flow of things, and no opposing team is going to let you get back in the flow. You just have to figure that out on your own and with the rest of your teammates. But Donovan Mitchell has been the MVP for this team so far. Unfortunately, as long as that De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis connection keeps connecting, it's going to be really hard to beat that team. The Kings have made an emphasis to be one of the better teams in the West this year. Seeing how far even they made it last year was surprising to a lot of fans, but this year it shouldn't be a surprise. That team is going to more than likely dominate damn near any team as long as those players are playing good. And for the fact that it's De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, you can never count that team out. You can never count out the Kings against your favorite team. It's just better hope and pray. But other than that, every other game that day seemed to fall the way that we all thought that it would fall. Let's move on to Tuesday, which was the in-season tournament game. Now, one thing that I love about the in-season tournament right now is that it's been some of the most exciting basketball that I have seen in this season so far. A lot of new players are coming out, and whether that just be because of injury to a lot of these other teams, or for the fact that they want the in-season tournament to be a jumping off point for a lot of newer players, for a lot of rookies to get that attention and to get those games and those minutes in. It's bringing a lot of attention to the NBA scene again, and it seems like every team actually really cares about the in-season tournament. It's made them way more competitive, and I like it. I like competitiveness. It really does help the NBA grow their brand a lot. That Tuesday, there were multiple buzzer beaters, and I wish I could watch them all, but again, it's hard to watch everyone. The Hornets and Heat and the Pacers and Sixers. Those two games really stood out to me. Miami won this game, as they should. That was a no-brainer. But there were a lot of surprising players from the Hornets. PJ Washington had 24 through 3 quarters, and he capped it off with 32, which is phenomenal for PJ. Shout outs to him. LaMelo Ball almost had a triple-double with points, assists, and turnovers. That's just not something you want to see from your point guard, really. But shout out to Bryce McGowens, who I've never heard of before because I don't watch a lot of college. It's no knock against him. He's a really great player. Bryce McGowens definitely helped the Hornets get some points up, being a laser from 3 and getting some very tough buckets. Yeah, shouts to him. I'll be watching the game progress as time goes on. But the Hornets themselves, they're a really exciting team. Can't wait to see them try to be something. Now, the Pacers and Sixers. Now, Indiana has been one of the most surprising teams so far. And fun fact for me, I'm a very big Indiana Pacers fan. I was a fan of them during the Paul George era, fan of them during the Victor Oladipo era, and now they're in this Tyrese Halliburton era, where it's totally different from those two moments in time for the Pacers. So Indy's proving to be a formidable contender out east as they topple the 1-seeded Sixers, handing them their second L. And that was at the time. Whatever it is right now, don't listen to me. Pacers had one hell of a game all around, with Tyrese dropping 15 assists on 0 turnovers. 15 assists on 0 turnovers. This nigga a tall Chris Paul. We all need to come to the consensus that Tyrese Halliburton is one of the better pure point guards in this league today. But let's give credit where credit is due. Tyrese Halliburton, future point guard. Shout out to Tyrese. I'll be looking forward to watch many more games, especially with the exciting cast that he has around him. Now let's move on to Wednesday, Kings versus Lakers. Now, guys, I'm happy for LeBron a lot. I really am. I can't say that I'm a LeBron fan, but I'm not a LeBron sexual. I'm not a LeBron stan. And I'm happy for everything that he's doing for the game, and I'm happy that he is even still playing to this day. But come the fuck on. You guys are, oh my God, man. And I feel like this is the second year that they've kind of gone into the season just not knowing what their identity is and having to depend on a 38-plus-year-old Bron to go out there and get buckets for them. And I get it, because he's still that bucket getter, but you still have players like Anthony Davis. You have the upcoming great player in Austin Reeves. I can't tell you whether he's going to be a star or even an all-star yet. But they do need to do something about this team. Personally, I thought once they got younger that they were going to be pretty good and set for the next season. But right now it's showing that they're not really that set, and they might need to make a couple more trades. But like I said, if the Kings have Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox cooking, it's going to be so hard to beat this team. It's going to be the same come playoff time too. So that is definitely something to look out for. Shout out to the entire team for having 4 out of their 5 starters in the double digits. The Lakers are in trouble. That's nothing new. They've been a fringe team for the past 2 seasons, but they always seem to come out good come playoff time. To start like this, expect huge changes to be made in their organization. The Knicks and the Hawks for that Wednesday. Personally, for me, I always doubt the Knicks. Maybe it's just because I'm from Philly, but I always doubt the Knicks. But I think we all do, really, except for Knicks fans. But this win did surprise me a bit because it wasn't just the Jalen Brunson show. Julius Randle contributed really well with a solid 29, 10, and 8 with unbelievable efficiency. If you want to go check it out, I'll probably put it right there. I do think I need to make a video on Randle one day because he's one of the more polarizing players to me. I liked him a lot when he was on the Lakers for his little bit of a stint on the Pelicans. But on the Knicks is where he started to really show his face a lot. By the time he got to the Knicks, you could kind of tell that this was the player that he was always going to be. You know, you can't really count a player out during his rookie season or a second season or even his third season, but by the time you get to their like 4th and above, they're pretty vetted into the league at that point. So now we can definitely see that Julius Randle is just that type of player, someone that just ends up being inconsistent during the wrong times and sometimes being like one of the best players on the court during the right times, you know. Thursday, the only game, there was only one game that I felt like was very significant and very interesting, which was the OKC versus Warriors game. The reason why it was interesting, and you've probably seen it a couple more times with De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, the Warriors were putting Chris Paul, 36, 37 years old, about 6 foot, on young Chet Holmgren. I believe he's like 19 or 20. I could be totally wrong about the ages there. But on a young Chet Holmgren who's 7'2", and he fucking dominated. Chris Paul dominated Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren is the type of guy to put the ball on the ground versus just back you down, mostly because he's not strong enough to do that. But against Chris Paul is just interesting. But it makes sense because as a guard, he's more used to getting those steals and being like pesky. And since it also is Chris Paul, he is a very pesky player as well. So it makes it even more of an interesting thing to look at. But the Warriors must have been practicing against Shea's drives because they're defending him really well down there. Klay Thompson is still trying to get things going, but contributes well in other ways. I think a lot of people put a lot of knock on Klay Thompson because he's not shooting well this season, at least at the start of the season. But Klay Thompson is still a vetted Warrior. This isn't a new team to him. This is something that he's used to. He's used to this team, so it's easy for him to help them get buckets in other ways. His shooting might be down a bit, but his ability to help out that team has not really changed. But the Thunder did shoot the lights out from 3. Shout out to Isaiah Joe for going off that game. 7 for 7 from 3. It almost broke the record for the most made threes without a miss. So shout out to Isaiah Joe for that. OKC wins that game as well, mostly because they don't have Steph Curry. We'll get on Draymond another day. Last Friday, Nuggets versus Pelicans. The reason why I thought that this game was important was because the Pelicans are kind of a mid-team right now, and they just put the smackdown on the Nuggets with pulling away with a 20-point lead during the third quarter. Now, the Nuggets did shrink it, but they still ended up losing the game anyway. The Pelicans started out strong with their lead, but the Nuggets were always right behind them during the first quarter. However, Zion was way too much for other defenders, whether it had been Eric Gordon, Zeke Naji, it didn't really matter. The rest of the team was helpful as well, and that really helped them surmount that lead that they had. Herb Jones was being a Swiss Army knife. Outside of scoring, he was doing a really good job doing everything else to help that team get that win. Shout out to Jordan Hawkins for coming in clutch making some really good plays, making some really good shots. This is another triple-double night for Nikola Jokic. Really big triple-double as well. Quick shout out to Christian Braun for dropping 25 points that night. Shout outs to you. And the Clippers, Rockets. The Clippers finally came to play with their 3 stars all in the double digits. The Rockets, they kept it close but failed to get the win. And a quick shout out to the Rockets for becoming the instant success story as well. Everyone was counting them out, mostly because of the people that they picked up in free agency. But the team has been running really well. I think this is a fantastic mix of a young, talented players and experienced vets who know how to win games. And maybe I'll even do a separate video on the Rockets because Dillon Brooks is becoming one of my favorite players. That's all I have for today. I want to start doing predictions in the next video, and once I figure out what I want to do for the weekends, videos for those will be dropping as well. But thank you so much for coming and viewing my first video on the NBA and the teams that no one is paying attention to this week. But that is my time, y'all. I'm gonna get to watching the rest of these games, and I hope to see y'all in the next video.